welcome back to my messy garage and the Jeep TJ project. Today we're gonna kind of copy what we did down there. I've got most of the spot welds actually drilled out of this thing already. I've still got a few I've got to get out, and then there are actually, like up here, there are a few welds that are more seam welds. And so I've got to get the rest of that out, get this torque box off, and then I've got to cut out a bunch of rust here, cut and bend a piece of plate steel to put back in there, and weld it in. So hoping to have that done today, hoping maybe I can even get the new torque box on this weekend. I don't know. That's going to depend on whether I can get assistance on those welds. But that's my goal for today. Once I do that, I've just got a few little things. And after those little things, I think I will be ready to clean this garage up and wrap it in basically a painter's drop cloth. Make an entire enclosed clean area for spraying, because any dust, any dirt and whatnot that settles into that Raptor liner will be final, and I don't want that. So I guess that's where I'm at for this morning. It's actually the same morning if you watched me finishing up the transfer case skid plate. It's actually just been a few minutes since then. I went upstairs for breakfast, and I found Bailey looking very, very suspicious, snuggling up to Jen's pillow. But it was kind of a good laugh. So, let's get started. If you've ever worked with Jeep's dreaded obsession with Torx bolts, you'll know that they're not always fun to begin with. But when Jeep decided to spray over them in this, I don't even know what you call it, this coating that I assume was to cut down on body transfer noise, and cover the heads of the bolts as well, it makes it even harder to get purchase on those Torx bits. I was able to scrape most of it out, and on the other ones down there, I was actually able to get them loose. This one, I ended up stripping out both heads. So now I get to fight one short crank at a time in trying to get these bolts out. And if I showed you the other side, there's a good 1.5 inches of bolt thread past the actual nut. So that'll be the fun part. That'll be my next probably 15 minutes. See you soon. So I actually had to take those bolts out because they are part of, well, the nuts that they screw into are right here and are part of the torque box. Thereby the roll bar, the sport bar as Jeep calls it, because it's not a full roll cage, is connected indirectly to the frame. Also, you got here a bolt for the seat, not a seat bolt, I guess, but yeah, a bolt for the seat bracket is connected into it as well. And then another bolt for the seat bracket is connected into this whole structural support here. And so there's definitely some engineering that goes into making sure everything is secure. But I did have to get those out. Obviously, the seat brackets were out since there are no seats in at the tub right now. So I've got all of it broken free except for up here. On the other side, there weren't actually any spot welds in this section. There are some on top, which I'll have to bend this all back to straight before I weld everything back in, because it's gotten a little bent trying to get this out. But I'm still connected somewhere in here. And I've looked with a flashlight, I've been looking all over. I can't find where the spot welds are. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off right here, pull that off, and then cut this clear if I can, so that I can get up in here and use this to hammer in and figure out where I'm actually still stuck at, so then I can drill out those spot welds. So next step, cutting. Okay, turns out my memory failed me. I cut this part off thinking that the spot welds were up here. Turns out there was a piece down here that I did not remember, and a bunch of spot welds there. Now I just have the one piece left, and I think it may just be connected with a spot weld here. So I'll try getting that out. I may still have one more on top too. We'll find out. Okay, if you've ever wondered what your Jeep looks like under the torque box, this is it. This side I'm not too worried about. That's just surface rust. I can sand that off, prime it up good, and I'll be happy with it. This, on the other hand, has to go. This has to go bad. So, let's get to it. It's coming handy, but honestly, I'm a little bit happy to see this spot weld cutter go in the toolbox. Hopefully I don't see it again for a long time.
Okay, so there's a safety thing about respirators is they do not work well with facial hair. Typically that is the case. There is a way to check to make sure you've got a good seal. And so every time, because I do have my goatee and I don't shave very well on the sides either quite often, every time I'm putting this thing on I do a seal test. So if you've never done one, if you've never been shown how to do one, but you want to wear a respirator for any reason, I am for the rust, just so I'm not breathing all that into my lungs. This is how you do the seal test on a respirator. You're going to cover up these two. This part here is just for breathing out. Actually, that's this one. This one just has a little flap that expands and retracts to keep pressure correct. But these ones are the ones you're going to breathe in through, so you're going to flap your hands completely over them so no air can get in, and then try and breathe in. If you can breathe in, you do not have a good seal. If you're just basically sucking that and nothing will come, you got a good seal. So do that. It'll save you a whole lot of trouble, and it'll make sure that you're not wearing the mask for no reason at all.
And there we have her. I got it down to clean steel anywhere I could see even the slightest bit of bubbling, so shiny clean steel. The black you see is the Rust-Oleum primer. I've still got to get up in there and get in some of the corners, obviously. That still all has to come out, and I've still got some work around here to do, some work back here to do. I guess my next step is going to be cutting that out and cutting a patch to fit. So wish me luck. Well, that sure didn't last long. Hello, my old friend. Okay, so what I've got going on up here is I started cutting and I forgot that I've got spot welds to remove here because, fold that down, it's connected up there. So, on to this again. Well, it's been fun. It's time to get out of my house. Actually, I guess you can stay, but I don't want to see you for a while. Okay, so I've been over here cutting, bending, filing, measuring, cutting, bending, filing, measuring, cutting, test fitting, cutting, grinding, filing, test fitting, measuring, test fitting, cutting, grinding, filing. And I think I've finally got this to the point it's ready to go in. So once it is welded in, I am not going to have access to the backside. So I'm going to start off by priming the backside. I'm going to put on that weld through primer just so I don't end up inhaling bad fumes. But that's where I'm at. As soon as that's dry, I'm going to throw it up into place, clamp everything down, and start welding and hopefully not screw it up too bad. It's been a couple days, and I guess I should explain. You've seen the video possibly of our unexpected road trip. So yesterday was a wash. Saturday too, kinda. But the video that you've been watching till now was Friday. And I did start welding on that piece, and I did start screwing it up to the point I knew I should probably stop and wait on Greg again. And so sometimes you gotta know your limits, because with the flux core welder and my lack of skills, I was just blowing through the steel and making holes. And so I decided it was probably best to just hold off, let him get that when he's here for the torque box anyway. I messaged him, he says he thinks he can fix it. So let me tell you a little story about why I'm doing all this to the tub, the new donor rust-free tub. So I looked, knowing that this was going to be an issue. For quite some time I looked, and I was watching people parting out Jeeps and selling rust-free tubs, and most of them were asking anywhere from $1,000 to like $1,600. Average was probably around $1,400 or $1,500 from what I was seeing of actual rust-free undamaged tubs. And then I found this thing for sale. I think it was like $500, and it claimed to be rust-free, so I was obviously skeptical. But it was 3.5 hours away, and so I called him, and I asked about it. You know, I could see in the pictures the vehicle was in a front-end collision. The front end was mashed up, but I asked a few questions, you know, like, is the tub straight? Is it actually rust-free? Because I don't want to drive 3.5 hours to get there in a truck that gets 9 miles to the gallon, and isn't, you know, something that I really want to be doing long road trips in anyway, just to find out that you were false advertising. And the guy gave me his word that, oh, this is a rust-free tub. Yeah, it's beautiful, and there was no damage to the tub. It was just in the front. There's like one little dent in the front, and he was pretty accurate on that. There's just one little dent here that isn't an issue. And the back, the tailgate hinges kind of ripped off, which, you know, I was expecting a little bit. That happens a lot when people put oversized tires on the factory tailgate. So that was no big deal. And then I got there, and I walk up, and I didn't even have to look at the thing, and I could see it was not rust-free. It was rusty. And so I went into the office. There were 3 guys working. It was a Saturday. They had made me pay over the phone too, because they weren't supposedly open on Saturdays, so made me pay over the phone so that someone would be there on Saturday. Apparently I wasn't the only one that did it too, because there were a few other people there picking up stuff. And I walk into the office. There's one guy in the office. There's one guy operating the loader, and it's got big long forks on it, and that's how we loaded this thing up into the bed of the truck. That was a fun one. I think I've put a picture of that in one of the previous videos, but if not, maybe I can clip it in here or something. See if I can find it. And then there was a third guy, and the third guy was so drunk he could barely even stand up. By the time I left, he was rolling around on the ground and could not stand up. Not so certain the other guys weren't halfway to where he was at. But I walk in there pretty upset. I mean, I was decent about it. I was calm and respectful, but I clearly voiced my frustration that, you know, I just drove 3.5 hours on your word that the tub you sold me was rust-free, and I don't even have to look at it from closer than 25, 30 feet to see that it's not rust-free. And so the guy was dealing with another irate customer at the time, and he just looked at me and said, "What do you want?" So I told him, "I don't know. You got anything else?" He said, "Nope, that's the cleanest thing we've seen in a long time." And I said, "I don't know, just give me $100 back, I guess." So I ended up getting the tub for it. It was like $300 or $400 in the end, which, you know, I guess compared to what other places were charging, I guess I can consider that a deal. But it wasn't rust-free, and that's why I've got so much extra time in this. This Jeep would be together by now if I wasn't putting so much time into the tub. So if you can take anything from this, be a man of your word. I mean, I would have given them glowing reviews all over the internet because that's usually what I do when someone makes me happy, you know? I like to let other people know this place did me right. Instead, and I'm not going to name their name because I don't like to bash people. Instead, I can say I drove to southern Indiana to a junkyard I would never visit again except with a torch. Just be a man of your word. In the meantime, I'm thankful for friends that have helped me get this unloaded, for friends that have helped with advice on certain things, for friends like Greg offering his expertise with a welder. Because without them, I'd have been lost on this project. I'd have driven that whole way, and I don't know. Maybe I could have loaded it back up in the truck and taken it to a body shop and seen if they had the time to fix it themselves and charge me and end up costing more than if I had just found a rust-free tub in the first place. Frustrated, but not the end of it. So this tub it'll be clean again. That's what I'm working on. I got a little bit back here you can see on the back that I need to clean up still. And other than that, I'm mostly happy with it. I want to get pretty much as much of the rust off as possible, because once it's covered in a Raptor liner, it'll just keep rusting underneath. It's not going to just stop rusting just because it's sealed. I'd rather get it clean to a point where I know that it's going to be protected by the Raptor liner and not just hidden. And so that's where I'm at with that. But on a lighter note, something that I've been waiting for a while has come in. Let's go take a look. Got 2 boxes. And again, I am not going to name the name of the company because honestly, I'm quite frustrated with them. They listed everything as in stock, and as soon as I placed the order, suddenly it was not in stock and they had to order the parts. And then I get an email a few days later that it's going to take longer to order the parts. And then after waiting for 3 weeks and being on the phone for an hour and a half on wait more than once, they finally end up telling me that, well, it's going to be 45 to 60 days before the manufacturer even starts producing that again and sends that one out to us. So I just told them that was, I believe, the front shocks. The only reason I went through this company was because everyone else had the front shocks available but couldn't get the rear shocks. This company, their website said the rear shocks were in stock. The website goes by a different name than the company does, and if I'd have known what company it was, I'd have avoided them because they've gained a pretty bad reputation since being bought out a year or 2 ago. But they went under a different name. I guess they know they've gotten a bad reputation. And so I ended up canceling the front shocks from them, ordered them from someone else. They should be here tomorrow. But I think the rear's here. And my gas tank straps. Let's open them up and see what we got. Bailey just decided he wanted to sit in my seat while I was doing this. Apparently once I sat down on him, he wasn't so happy about it. So this, I believe, it's kind of burst through the box here, but I believe this should be my gas tank straps. And sure enough, there they are. So the gas tank skid plate has come in already. So this will be the final step in getting the gas tank back up. I think I'm going to drain the gas tank since that gas has been sitting for a long time. Just easier to do it now while it's out. And let's see what we got here. Nice decent packing. And this does appear to be the rear. 552556. Yes. RS 5000. This better be the RS 5000X. It's listed as 5000 on the side. I guess I will open it up because if this is the 5000, it is not the right one. 55256. That should be the 5000X. So, I think we're good on that. There she is. She's got the bar pin in her. So I think I'll have to knock that out because I do have that bar pin eliminator on the top. So I'll knock that out, throw the bolt through, call that good, and I got my rear shocks. Verify it is listed as 55256 on the box and 55256. Now these are actually one of the cheaper shocks you can get for the Jeep TJ, but all over the Jeep TJ forums, guys are using these, saying that they ride so much smoother than a lot of the other options, a lot of the more expensive options. Once again, won't name names. Actually, one of the more expensive options was one I would have totally gone with. Aluminum tube here, so you don't have to worry about rust and all. They're a beautiful shock, but they're actually a little bit too heavy for the light TJ. People say they ride a little rough. This one, from what people say, is about ideal for the TJ, and so I'm gonna give them a shot and see if they're right. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. The Lord bless you and keep you.